welcome to your new makeup tutorial. I am Rachel Tullis, as you probably know. I work with Saint Beauty and I am obsessed with this makeup, and I thank you very much for your interest and for being here. So I'm going to kind of go through and show you how to build a palette. As you know, all of our compacts are magnetic, so you pick the compact of your size and then you pop your tins right in with just what you need. When your tins arrive, they will have a lid on them just like this, and you are going to just slide this up, and that's how you get to your product. You're going to open up your compact and you're going to choose. You can put them sideways, you can put them long ways, it does not matter. They are magnetic. Put it how you like it, put it in any order you want. My contour, my brightening highlight aka concealer, my foundation shade, which is the darker of these two, and my lip and cheek, lipstick and blush. So most of you, I start out with the 3D brush because it's the most versatile by the shape. You can do the most with this one brush per your whole face. If you're someone who really likes light coverage, I probably started you with this brush, which is the blush and bronzer brush. If you tell me that you like full coverage, then I started you with the buff brush. If you have mature skin, I also start you with the buff brush. So it doesn't mean that you have to do full coverage. Just these denser bristles really pack in around fine lines and give a much more airbrushed appearance. So usually I have a reason for recommending the brush I do. I try to go off your preferences and what I think your needs are. But for the most part, if someone just wants one brush or they're a beginner, they get the 3D brush. So you're going to take your brush. I prefer to use this big end for contour and these ends for my highlight shades, my concealer and foundation. And then I blend with this end, but you can do whatever you want. It's your face, it's your makeup. This is just what I suggest and what works best for me. So I always start with my contour. I'm going to dab. So more than swiping, I'm dab, dab, dab. And I'm going to start by going right along my hairline, okay? Just like so. I have more of a square shaped face that I want to be a little more oval. So I do mine kind of at an angle. I also have a widow's peak. If you have a larger forehead, you can go all the way across. I kind of have a short forehead. So this, how much you put on depends on your face shape. And then when you do your contour, most people think that you suck in and go right here, but that actually drags your face down. And I know we do not want to do that, especially because most of us are 30 or older. So we're going to go up here. So I'm going to feel like right here is my cheekbone. Here's the divot. I'm going right here on this bony prominent part of my cheekbone. It's a little bit higher than like the top of my ear. And I'm going about, oh, not quite all the way to my pupil, like maybe to the edge of my iris. So that is what I recommend. Like so. And then you're going to do a little bit on your jawline. Nothing crazy, but you want separation from your jaw and your neck. That's how you kind of get that chiseled jawline. Then we're going to do the sides of the bridge of our nose. Not the sides of our nose, but the actual bridge of our nose. Just from having my fingers like that, you should have known to see the difference that the sides of my nose would have made my nose look wider, and the sides of the bridge of my nose makes it look a little skinnier. So you can do this with your brush. You would just squeeze this really tight and go like this, but that takes a little bit of practice. So a lot of the time beginners like to put it on their finger, put a little bit on, and then you can go like this and you can get a skinny line, okay? And like, see how I kind of got that too close to the middle? It's not a big deal, I just wiped it off. No big deal. So you can kind of play around with that. Again, you know, as I've gotten more practice, I do actually use my brush, but in the beginning, it's definitely easier to get a smaller line this way. And then just the kind of way to get that extra contour off my brush, I go ahead and I blend my neck. So our jawline, we're always going to blend down. So I'm just kind of like tap dab, like so, okay? And now I feel like I pretty much have anything extra of that off my brush. And I'm gonna go into this kind of pointy skinny end. I'm gonna go into my concealer shade, and I'm gonna go in this inner corner of my eye, like so, like so. And right here. And as you can tell, I am messy. Actually, what's awesome about this makeup is because you can slap it all on as fast as you want. You don't have to be like slow and precise. Okay, so we're gonna go right here between our brows, right between these two lines, and then a little bit here and a little bit here. So think of a line kind of down the middle of your nose. I have more of a pug shaped nose. I don't want this part to stick out because if you can see from me on the side, it already sticks up. Some people do like to brighten all the way down, but I put my foundation shade there because this part is already like the biggest part of my nose. So play around with that, see what you like. Now I'm gonna go in with my foundation shade. I'm like swipe, swipe, and this is gonna be enough to do the whole lower side of my face, okay? It does not take much product at all. Cream makeup is full pigment. It's not watered down like liquids. So it really lasts a long time. That's why these tins look so small, but this usually this lasts me about 6 months, and these last me 3 to 4 months. This lasts me like 9 to 12 months because such a little amount. Like 2 dabs is practically covering, you know, almost my whole lower side of my face. So I'm just kind of dabbing this on where I don't have anything else, okay? So see how nothing I've used so far has overlapped? That's why this is called 3D foundation. These 3 shades right here make up your 1 layer foundation. Instead of putting like a layer of like liquid foundation all over, and you're putting your concealer and your contour on top because you made your face all one flat shade and now you have to add back dimension, we're doing that with just these 3 products. So when people see this, traditionally, they're like, oh, like compared to my regular makeup, that looks like so much. But it's less because all of these provide coverage to be the 1 layer. So now I'm gonna go back and blend these. When I blend, I'm just doing like a patting, stippling motion instead of like a rubbing, swirling. So I'm gonna start with my hairline contour. I'm gonna go up towards my hair. And you aren't trying to rub this off. The point is to be able to see it. But when you are just starting out and you're not used to seeing it, you're gonna probably blend it all the way off, and I'll show you what to do, so don't worry. I don't really think it matters where you start. I just pick either do my contour first or my contour last. But see how I'm just like dabbing that in? Like so. I always take my jaw contour and go up because we're not dragging our face down. We're just dabbing. Again, I can see I kind of missed some of my neck. And then I'm gonna just dab right here. Just like so. You can also put this makeup on finger paint style. When I first started with this makeup, I always applied it finger paint style, so I will do another tutorial on that. That way you can kind of learn that too. Some people think that that makes more sense on placement and they prefer to start that way. I think it's a little bit harder to blend because you have all these little dots versus blending this out that goes on so smooth. But if placement of this kind of confuses you on what goes where, the dots make more sense. So I want you to kind of play around with it and see what you prefer. And it's fun to do the dot method. I still do it every once in a while just because it's fun. Like, it isn't like feeling like they're finger painting on their face. It's like art. Okay, so see, I have it all on. In the beginning, again, you may find that you overblend because you're not used to seeing like this definition. You might accidentally overblend it. Not a big deal. You're just going to get your contour shade out, dab in, add a little more, like problem solved. So don't worry if you accidentally overblend. And if you get too much, same thing, just kind of blend it away. Just play with it until you get used to what you like. You very well could have put on your blush at the exact same time and blended it all at once. The reason that I don't is because I love super bright blush and it shows up brighter this way, but a lot of people wouldn't put it on at the same time because it also has coverage, so it could be considered that 1 layer. These 3 shades for me very rarely change, but I use a different lipstick like every day because I own way too many. So you can go through, dot it on like so. I prefer mine high up, like right above my contour, but you can do the apples of your cheeks if that's what you prefer. I have the big apples of my cheeks, so I'm trying to lift. So this is a more of a lifted look versus a full look. So again, totally your preference. And this is also lipstick. And get that on. Then same brush, go through and I'm just kind of pat dab. I take mine up my temple just a little bit, like so. And that is how you use your brand new makeup. Do your makeup while you watch this. Maybe wash it once before you do your makeup and then do your makeup another time, like step by step along with me. And it'll really help it make sense because I know it sounds kind of confusing, but when you try it, then you're like, oh, I see why we're putting that there. Like contour, think my face is not flat. This is where my bones are the most prominent, right? This is where my bones are. So that's where I put my contour because we want dimension. So you can kind of think of it like that. And then like under eyes, I don't have very naturally dark under eyes, which is surprising because I have 3 kids. So I do pretty well putting my lighter concealer shade all the way under. What I recommend for my gals that have naturally darker under eye circles is I tell them to put their foundation shade all the way under instead, and then go back with their concealer shade and do like a little bit on the inner corner and like a line right here for lift. And then that way they're just getting like the brightness from it, like so, and a little bit of lift, but their dark under eyes are concealed by their foundation shade because a darker shade is going to have more coverage than a lighter shade. So keep that in mind. If you have darker under eyes, that will make a big difference for you. This is the basics. This is what I recommend. This is what most people start with, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you some extras because all the time people are like, what should I order next time? Where do I go from here? I love growing this collection because it's fun. So, you know, I'm going to share that with you. This is bronzer. This is an illuminator, eyeshadow, and setting powder. So bronzer, same thing. You just can kind of dot on and then blend. You can buy this bronzer alone. It's $16 like all of our other tins, or this is the blush and bronzer brush that I talked about that people like for light coverage. You can bundle it with this bronzer. Normally this brush is $40, that's $16, but you can get them together for $45. So if it's something you're ever interested in, I recommend it because I like to put bronzer on my neck, and I feel like that is a little bit harder to do with a stiff brush, whereas this is so fluffy because my chest is always super dark. My face is dark, but I always have like the whitest neck. So that to me helps tie everything together. I actually prefer to put my bronzer on with this big fluffy end because I like the way that it just feels to me like it looks a little bit more natural, kind of like spanned out in these areas. And then I don't always love getting my blush on here because like I said, I like the really light blushes. It doesn't hurt anything, but I like to use this little end for my blush. So I usually tell people when they're ready for purchase number 2, bronzer and this brush are a great idea to bundle. Other ideas are the eyeshadow brush, which I'm looking for. Is this guy right here. If you ever decide to get eyeshadow, they also just pop right into your compact because they're magnetic. This is a great brush. You have options. We have so many eyeshadows, but don't be afraid to use these on your eyes, which is really neat. So I'm going to go in with my contour. This is just a small brush, and I'm going to use my contour like eyeshadow, okay? I'm literally just going to put this in my crease, give myself a little bit of color here. So even contour can give dimension. I'm going right under this bony brow bone, right underneath it, okay? Then I'm going to go back with my lighter shade and clean this up because that was a little messy. And that can be your eyeshadow. This could also be a eyeshadow color. I could put this like down here. This is my lipstick, okay? So you can experiment with all of your makeup. Everything is versatile. I am going to go back and show you. This is my favorite shimmer shade. I am a shimmer girl. So I'm going to go back and put a shimmer over this. Like so. For a little color. And then this is my favorite highlight shade. I use this highlight shade. This is Sabrina. No matter what eyeshadow I have on, and I can help you depending on your skin tone, figure out what a good highlight shade for you would be. This matches my skin tone. It just has a little bit of shimmer. So I feel like it brightens things up. There's that. Illuminator. This comes in 4 or 5 cream shades and 4 or 5 powder shades. Cream is more subtle. Powder is more glam. It's totally up to you, but illuminator goes like right here on the high parts of your cheekbone. So if you've ever seen someone and you like see them turn and it like catches in the light, this tiny bit of glimmer, that's because they're using illuminator. That other makeup brand's called highlighter. But it kind of just gives your makeup something extra. It's fun. Like, it just feels kind of, I don't know. I don't always use this for the everyday, but it just like makes me feel special when I have it on. It's also good to put on like the bridge of your nose. You could have put this right here underneath your brow bone. People like to put it right here on their Cupid's bow. And again, it comes in multiple shades. If you have dry skin, I usually recommend the setting spray. I spray it on a beauty blender, let it dry for a minute, and then I like to go through like that and just kind of dab. This is Saint's Beauty Blender. It's called the Perfector Sponge. I absolutely love it. If you feel like you're having a hard time blending your makeup, I definitely recommend getting one of these because you can go through. This is slightly damp, so I got it wet. I squeezed up all the water really, really good, so it got big and puffy. And then it helps really blend your makeup into your skin. I'm like pressing this into my pores. So if you feel like you're having a hard time blending your makeup, or you have mature skin and you have fine lines, this will make all the difference to you. Again, it's called a Perfector Sponge. It comes in black or gray. They are very, very long lasting. They're easy to clean. I clean mine weekly, and I replace it about every 3 months, and I absolutely love it. I would like this without even setting spray, just if I need to do a final blend. Also, say you don't have this blush and bronzer brush, you can use this for your blush and your illuminator, which is really nice. So see, I could just go into my blush, like if you didn't want to get it on your big brush, and look, it taps on like the perfect amount. Same thing, I could do this with my bronzer, okay? And I could use my illuminator right here. I could go with my illuminator. This is like the multi-purpose tool. I honestly think if you're willing to get something extra in your life, you won't regret having this. This is setting powder. If you have more oily skin or you wear a mask to work, I always recommend a setting powder. I like to put it on with what's called the powder brush. It's very, very firm. And again, you can bundle it together for savings. and get both together. I just like the way that this fits like in my nose creases, but guess what? You can also apply it with the Perfector sponge. So you cannot go wrong by owning this little guy, okay? I like to do my T-zone, my forehead. The reason I recommend this if you wear a mask is because it locks in your makeup like none other. I'm gonna show you. So this is my lip and cheek shade, okay? And I'm going to put some setting powder on there. And I'm gonna show you what it does. So we're gonna put some setting powder, we'll do this darker one, so you can really see the difference. So we'll put it on this darker one. This is the setting powder, okay? So first, look how that smears, okay? That is just the regular lipstick and blush. Now look, that one does not smear. You can see that I'm pressing. That is just from the setting powder locking that in. So if you wear a mask to work, I would get the vanilla dust and I would put it like over your nose, your chin, around your mouth. This again is basically your whole face in one compact, super easy. Eyeshadows. I fill in my eyebrows with my contour, so if your contour matches, you can do that. I just need this and I need a mascara, and that's it. It's so simple. I also do want to say, if you have a blemish or something and you want a little extra coverage in some spots, like here's my main shade, like Serum Red right here. I don't ever want to put on full coverage because I prefer light coverage. I would rather go back and add the extra coverage only where needed and not to my whole face. So like see where I was red right there, I just fixed it. And I would do the same thing if I had a blemish. I would just use, like I have a couple little tiny brushes. I would just go back with my foundation shade and I don't really have anything. Now that's like a freckle, but I'm just gonna show you. I would just go back over it with a little bit of my main shade to get a little extra coverage there. And if for some reason you feel like that's still not giving you the coverage you need, we have something called Demi, which is for like birthmarks, sunspots, melasma, and it is Colorable Science. It's very, very opaque. It's just these little color correcting tins. A lot of people like them to use either over their makeup, or this is a great thing for people who don't like any makeup. They look like this. They're just these little color correcting tins, and it's like we have some people that don't want to wear any makeup at all and they just wear this. So like they could cover up a few of their freckles, any acne, anything like that with just this and have nothing else on, and it would basically be undetectable. So that's Demi, so that's another option. The other thing that I think is really helpful is brush cleaner. You would not paint a house with a dirty paintbrush, so you really don't want to be applying makeup on your skin with the dirty brush. Over time, the creams will build up. This is a waterless spray. I'm going to spray my brush and then wipe. I do this about every 10 days, and I think it makes a big difference in how my makeup applies, preventing breakouts, etc. So you can see my brushes are clean. And then I use the soap that we have, like with actual water, a soap and water, like every 3 or 4 months. It is best, I'm throwing stuff. It is best to not use water weekly if you can, because as water gets down into this part of your brush, it will over time loosen the glue bond of your bristles, which will make your brushes not last as long. If you don't care about that, and you don't care if you end up replacing your brushes more often, it's not a big deal. Waterless spray, again, is supposed to have longevity of your brushes. I don't know. I've had this brush now for 2 years and I don't feel like anything's happening to it. So it feels like it's pretty safe, but that's just a disclaimer that I need to make about brush care. And that is really it. I tried to tell you as much as I could in a short amount of time. If you're not in my Facebook beauty group, please join, because I put my makeup on all different ways. Sometimes I put my foundation on my whole face and then I go back over with my contour, even though that's not necessary coverage wise. Some people just prefer that because in their brain it makes sense and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I go in and I do the finger paint method. Sometimes I use this little brush called the detail brush. When it's summertime, I don't have it out here, but instead of 3D brush, I usually use the shape brush, which is like the lightest weight brush we have. I kind of change it up per season and what's going on. So if you're in my Facebook beauty group, you'll stay up to date with all the different tutorials and tricks. And I'm always happy to FaceTime with you or meet in person if you're local. So give me a shout if you have any questions at all. And thank you so much for being here.